What is up, good people? Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to check out this podcast. Thank you so much. So, I want to have a conversation today based on a number of different items that have been crossing my attention. A few days ago, as I recorded this a few days ago, I was hanging out with my daughter, and she was going off about, the sorriness of men. She's in her mid-20s, understands that, it's time to start, thinking about a family. It's better, obviously, for women when they're younger. Prime age is between something like 18 and 29 or something like that to have babies, give or take a year or two. So she's starting to think along those lines, and she's not running into any competent young men, or the competent young men that she's running into are not planning having babies, or just kind of want to play around and play the field. So I want to try to answer that question about what happened to young men, what's happening with men, what's going on, what's going on. This question has been asked and answered in a number of other shows and podcasts, and there are books about it. So what's going on with men, right? There's guys are not going to college. They seem to be very, very happy with sitting in their mother's basements, playing video games. They're not dating. They're getting off of dating apps. They're not approaching women in stores or other venues, and approaching them for dates, right? They're just seem to be completely disengaged, and I think that we really have to take a look at why that is and what we can do about it. Now, as I was preparing for this, and I was just kind of going through stuff, I turned on YouTube, and Miss Melanie King puts up a post. She's always talking about what's going on, and there's so many other podcasts, and I don't like to make shows about bashing men or women or whatever, but we have to take a look at why men are disengaging. And Miss Melanie King's post she did a show something that I guess was going viral, but I didn't hear about it. Apparently, there's this professor in the California area. I don't know what school he was teaching at. Teaching a class about, I think it was computer science, introduction to computer science or something like that. And during a discussion post, he put something up where it talks about, men should stop dating women in the Bay Area, wherever the college was. You need to expand your horizons. And everybody went up in arms. The students screenshot the post and complained about it. And long story short, he got in trouble and ended up having to apologize in the post, and school was on him and calling him a misogynist and all kind of stuff, all because he said his preference was, and he think that if you really want a wife, if you really want someone who's a girlfriend material, that you really have to look elsewhere. I had not heard that story, but it was something that Miss Melanie King put up. So you can go over her channel, look, check it out, read up about it, or whatever. But what would make this professor say that? What would make Richard Reeves write his book? What would make all these other people write their books about disengagement? What is going on? Why are they doing this? So Miss Melanie King goes on to say, and I'm agreeing with this, and I before I watched this video, I had a conversation with my own daughter talking about this. So I'm going to try to lay all this out. That men don't want to be involved in these types of environments where they're called toxic, misogynistic, where everything that we do is labeled narcissistic, misogynistic. We're down for being men and males. I personally have had numerous women tell me that they don't need me to hold the door for them. You walk into a store or whatever, you kind of hold the door for somebody behind you. Personally told me they don't do it. I've had other ladies, and this is different times, different places, different stores. Other ladies just walk through and not say anything. Forget about chivalry. I'm talking about just being a nice human being. I'd hold the door for a guy. We have to take a look at what's going on, what happened to men that would make them recoil and not want to be engaged in this environment. And it's unpopular and all that, but it has to be addressed. And I think that we got to take a look at what happened in the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. Now, this is what I'm saying here is applicable to all races. I'm talking about Western culture in general. But I think it's on steroids, obviously, in the African American community. Look at the 1960s. 1960s, black men, black women, right? We had the Black Power movement, and we had the Black Power movement. We had our ladies rocking afros, our guys walking around in the black berets, trying to get black empowerment to stand together. It wasn't long after that, 10, 20 years later, that they are throwing us under the bus on talk shows such as Ricky Lake and Sally Jesse Raphael and Oprah and stuff. How's that happen? How's the next generation, the kids of these Panthers, the kids of these people who are striving for civil rights, turn their complete backs on the very men that they looked for support and supported each other? How does that happen? I think that when I was growing up, there was a philosophy in our school system, zero tolerance, and I had been the victim of that as well. I'm not an educator in all that, but I mean, not in the high school, middle schools, high schools, etc. But that zero tolerance, I had become victim of that one time myself. Like I had gotten in trouble for defending myself. This kid, I was a smaller kid. This bigger kid, these kids these days don't know anything about this, right? We had to go to the pencil sharpener, sharpen our pencils. They don't know anything about that. So I went up to the. I think we even had to ask permission, right? I'm supposed to ask permission to go to the pencil sharpener because I didn't want people just getting out their seats, if I recall correctly. So I get up to go to use the pencil sharpener, and this kid just like butts in front of me, and he like body checks me like a hockey player. So I body checked him back, and it was on. Parents, teachers don't want to hear it. They're not investigating. Just suspend them both. What kind of crazy... you can't articulate as a kid. But what kind of crazy policy is this where I get suspended for defending myself? And I'm 50. 51 now. This is years ago. Then not long after that, kids who are overly rambunctious and hyper, they want to, they medicate them. And all this problems and issues that happen after the medication, right? Growing breasts and all kind of crazy stuff. And oh my God, I had a little cousin, who was a really distant cousin, that gone through that. What's going on here? And you can't figure out why boys who went through that, who became men, are completely disengaged from the academic structure that we have set up and established in this country. Are you confused at this? I can remember my son. I don't know if he likes me talking about him. he was having an issue in 6th and 7th grade. So I'm going to school, I'm being a good parent, going to school, check on him, what's going on here? You're not paying attention. Getting notes and calls from school. He's getting up. They were talking about, I don't remember what they were talking about, but they were talking about doing something. Hey, maybe he's getting under his seat because he's bored. He's finishing his work. He's bored. Why don't you give him some more work, give him some advanced work? Lo and behold, they give him some advanced work, and he's sitting in the seat getting the work done. He'd actually excelled and was now doing high school level algebra, and this is in 7th grade. There's a scenario that came up. I just heard about it the other day. A study, actually. A study where they looked at kids at like 5 years old and they judged them, took a look at them, they judged them, and they said they determined that they were geniuses on genius level intellect. That's 5-year-olds. Looked at them 5 years later, and that genius level intellect had slipped. They were now, going, regressing or whatever. 5 years later, then they're 15. Someone gets suspended and all kind of crazy stuff. So the answer was that they looked and said the common denominator was schools, education. So this is something I heard. I haven't read the study yet, but I plan to read it and really kind of verify all that I just said. So if somebody else has read it, please let me know. But I think that this is interesting. All this has to do with making men. Then the next thing is, right, along this line of education, right, then at the same time, 1960s, 70s or so, they take the shops where you can get certifications to become an electrician, a plumber. They take all that out to schools. I'm assuming that there's some kind of shops going on. But to get the certification so you can come out and graduate and have a job with a certification or license or whatever is gone, unless you go to a trade or technical school, which is to get a trade or whatever. So you play with the educational system. You try to tamp down boys academically, trying to keep them in their seats or medicate them, and they can't figure out why they don't want to do whatever. Then you create hostile work environments. Allegations of Me Too, and Me Too is obviously terrible, right? Ladies should not have to go to jobs and be sexually harassed or have to engage in quid pro quo activities in order to get the job, to keep the job, or to get promoted. We all agree with that. But then you get from there you get believe all women. What does this do? And then from there, then there's complaints about men don't want to engage. They don't want to engage with ladies because they don't want to be accused of anything. Then the ladies are complaining about that. They want to sue the men because, if I can't engage with you, can't have banter back and forth. We don't want to hang out after work. Then that ruins my chances for promotion. But I don't want my reputation ruined. For an allegation, I got a family, I got to feed them. So you want men to engage in these environments in schools, and if they do traverse the school system, make it through all this, then you want them to engage in a job and put their lives and their families and their reputations at risk. And we're supposed to figure this out. Then, men have to be made. Men have to be made. I'm not talking about males. You have to be made. You have to go through trials and tribulations and torture. Not torture, trials and tribulations. And, you have to go through a crucible of training to become a strong, stable man. And we have been bucked down and cast down and not. And being a male in and of itself has been deemed toxic, and toxic masculinity and whatever that means, that changing, evolving inconsistent definition of what that is and who's engaging in that. You know, what has happened to men? This is what has happened to men. You know, everybody gets a trophy, so why? If everybody gets a trophy, then why should I try harder? Everybody gets a trophy. I coached a number of sports for different years, and my boys, the boys teams, right? I can remember I had a parent, I live by the philosophy that, and this I didn't get this from me. I mean, this is what goes on in these environments, right? Where you're part of a team, right? There's no I in team, and we're all doing whatever we got to do, and trying to go together to get to this place as a team. And so I had a couple of kids, like if you mess up, everybody's doing push-ups or suicides or whatever it was. Parents coming to me, you shouldn't do that. This is what it takes. Men take responsibility. You have to train men to take responsibility for their family. You have to train men to take responsibility for their teammates, for their jobs that they're going to work into, whether it's construction worker, police officer, firefighter. You can't have these individuals running around. You have to be part of a team. You have to be able to rely on them. And that training starts as a kid. And when you got people who don't understand that and then subverting you, this is what's causing this decline in men, or the lack of availability in men. There's so much more I could say about what's going on, but it's really sad. It's really sad that we're in this place, and we're having conversations about men not wanting to date, men not wanting to go to work, men completely, avoiding ladies at the workplace. But who can blame them? Who can blame them? And we're supposed to figure it out, supposed to know, and you can do this without doing that. And we got to have honest conversations as to what has happened. So as I was talking to my daughter, I'm trying to get her to understand, how many scholarships are available for women, for ladies, how many scholarships are available for men. What does it take to be a man? How did we get tamped down? And I told her the stories about what I had gone through, just in being men. You have to make these men. And yes, I don't think that there's enough men reaching back. I was one of those who reached back. I coached for 10 years. 10 years I was reaching back, picking up kids, buying them food. 10 years I'd done that. And for men, for boys and girls, coach girls sports and boys sports. And I think that we have to reach back, and we have to we have to reach back as men, but there has to be a reward system. There has to be a reward for it, and men are not seeing the reward for their labor. Why should they get out of bed and do this and go to a job that they could be labeled a misogynist or claimed to be sexually harassed? Why should they do it? Why should they go to college, sit on the campus, and be told that they're toxic and masculine? Why should they go to the movies and not see any positive males in these movies? One thing that the whole MCU was built on good, strong #1 writing, and now because of these certain agendas that are being pushed forward, it's absolute trash. It's not trash because there's a different demographic leading it. It's trash because there's agenda being pushed. That's why it's trash. Wonder Woman was a great movie. It's not an MCU, I know that. It was a great movie. The first one. The second one was garbage. So, having this conversation with my daughter about this, and I just see so many different things. I don't know what the answer is. Men have to be made. We're not born intrinsically with value. We have to be made. Men. A strong protector, provider, stable, stoic, clear thinking, clear headed man has to be made. And if you're constantly telling him he's inadequate, he's unworthy, he's misogynist, he's bad, everything about him is toxic, why does he want to engage in an environment? Why would he want to do that? Why would he want to engage in dealing with dealing with anyone in a dating scene where things can get misconstrued, ladies can take screenshots and blast them all over the place? Why would you engage in that? What happened to men? Where have all the good men gone? Where have all the good men gone? And that professor in California told you, you got to look elsewhere. And they blast them for it. Because, listen, it's hurtful. It's hurt. There's a movement called the Passport Bros. I'm well aware of it. It's hurtful. It's hurtful to say I'm a man, obviously. If the women were saying, listen, these men are trash. These men are trash. We're going to go over here. We're going to go over overseas. And we're going to get us some good, strong men. The responsible men would be like, man, we need to step our game up. But the responsible ladies is to trash them. It's try to get these people fired. Out them. I'm quite sure somebody tried to out me. As far as my job and stuff. No internal work. That's what I'm trying to make. This is about internal work. I'm trying to make men the best version of themselves, women the best version. This channel is dedicated. Everybody can become the best. I don't care, male, female, white, black. I don't care. Anybody can watch this. But there's internal work that has to be done, and there's no internal work because they're looking at. There's no empathy or sympathy for men and what they have gone through, in particularly in Western countries. Divorce rates, you get murdered. I shouldn't say that. You get destroyed in divorce court. Destroyed. Why should I engage in this? You want me to go to school where they want to fill me up with Ritalin and other drugs, suspend me for whatever, go to college. I'm continuing to hear that I'm a misogynist and I'm no good and this, that, and the other, right? Even though I don't teach that in my classes. You go to, and there's not enough black male professors, honestly. Okay, so then you want me to go to work, and I got to be on my P's and Q's and try to make sure I'm doing everything right. And then if I say the wrong thing, I can be slandered or fired or sued or whatever. And then if I avoid people, they want to sue me as well. And then I navigate that minefield, and then I get married, and then 5 years, the average lifespan of a marriage between 5 and 7 years. Somebody's not happy. I didn't do the right thing. I didn't buy enough flowers. They want to take me to court and take my kids away and take half my. Why would anybody sign up for that? Why is anybody going to sign up for that? You want to know what happened to men? This is what's happening to men. And this is even if you can get the job. This is diversity, equity, inclusion. It means something as long as you're not a male. I have a DEI certificate. I put in for DEI heads of position. I don't even get a call back. I don't get a call back. I'm gonna talk to this guy. You probably seen the name. Listen to this. Look, And this is what men are going through. This is what men are going through. And listen, I think I have it pretty good. I have not been, besides the school stuff I told you about. I had jobs, and I worked at a very very male dominated job as a police officer. I have a job now, and everything is good. I'm not complaining about my life in particular, but I'm listening to and hearing the stories about other individuals, and I know about the divorce rates, and I understand that. I understand all the things that are going on, but you're asking men to take a bad deal. You're asking men to take a bad deal, and it comes off as weak, and you're weak. You can't handle. Listen, the shaming tactics, all this kind of. We're done with all that. We're done. We're done with that. We're done with that. Done with that. So let me know your thoughts and your opinion. What's going on with men? And listen, if you're a lady, listen to this. I want you to be empathetic, be sympathetic, whichever word it is. I can't remember. But I want you to put yourself in the man's position. Think about your son. Think about your cousin, your nephew, and think about what it takes for him to become a man. He's not a man. He's not just going to grow up and be this way. He's not going to grow up and be this way. He has to be made. He has to be molded. He has to go through trials, tribulations. You have to figure this thing out, and you have to make him that way. You have to make him that way, right? Look at Shaquille O'Neal, who went through. He had some trials and tribulations, whatever. Didn't grow up with his father, or he had a stepfather, or something along those lines. And then he gave a talk in which he talked about, his daughters can stay in his house for the rest of his life, but his son's got to get out. We got to change the way we approach raising boys, and train them to be men, so they can be capable and are capable to lead, to be protectors, and to be providers. And kicking them out when they're 18 to the wolves to figure it out is not it. It's not it. I hope that Shaq really kind of retracts that, or really understands. He did, right? He's got his doctorate, and I think he did his education or something like that. I think I read it. We got to figure this out. We got to figure out what we're going to do about men. Again, if you're a lady listening to this, think about put yourself in the shoes of the young boys, your brother, your cousin, your nephew. Think about what it took to make your father, your uncle, what they were, and try to have some type of empathy for that. I think that's the right one. Try to have some type of empathy for that, and try to make them the best versions of themselves. Be encouraging to them. Go see about them when they're down. Understand all that they go through, from their mental health rates to the self-deletion rates. Right, men are really going through some stuff. Men are going through some stuff, man. So listen, I hope I said something. I know this went a little bit long, but I think it was worth it. Um, I don't make videos to bash the ladies. I was going to say the fair sex. I don't make those types of videos. I'm not. Those types of videos, man. They're not doing any good. But we got to figure out what's going on with men, and we got to figure out how do we change it? How do we turn this around? How do we turn this around? Do they want to turn it around? Being the government? The jobs want to turn this around? How do you turn this around? How do you get men to want to engage? There's a whole segment of the population, a group of men who are saying we're completely done with dating in America. From Save Yourself Black Man to Men Going Their Own Way to Passport Bros and probably other organizations I'm not even aware of. They're just saying we're not going to engage in this. It's a rigged game. Marriage is a rigged game. Our boys are getting suspended. They don't want us in schools, or at least they want to beat us down and tell us we're trash and nothing. And we're not going to deal with it. So I'll finish it off there, leave it out there. What's going on with the men? It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation. And I have a daughter. I want her to get married, and I have a son who I want to be able to thrive and flourish in this world. And these types of things, I have a fear for that. I don't want my son to go to school, finish up his education, go to some job, and then have his reputation destroyed because he did whatever. What kind of craziness is that? I don't even understand where this stuff comes from. I don't even understand where this stuff comes from. I do understand where it comes from, but I'm being hyperbolic. We got to take a look at this. Come on, man. What are we doing? Yeah, and you can't figure out why men don't want to be involved in that? Ladies posting videos about being approached in parking lots. And this would be something, right, if it wasn't so pervasive. Listen, this has happened. I've been through this. Not that situation, but my mother raised me to be a good dude. I'm going to hold the door open for any human being that's coming after me. Any human being. And to have somebody say, I don't need you to hold the door open for me? Okay. Let me know your thoughts, your opinion. I'm going to leave it out there. I could go on and on and on with this, but